Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I got my guy, Kyle Collier, the producer of the program at Sports Radio 810 WHB, and in this video, we are going to talk about a couple Chiefs players that may be in danger of losing their roster spot. So, Kyle, we just got through the dreaded mandatory minicamp, and nothing really major happened, so for this video topic, I kind of want to take a sneak peek at training camp and talk about some guys that are going to maybe have an uphill battle to make this team. And I guess before we get into the list, do you have any guys that kind of stick out to the top of your mind that could be in danger of getting cut?
Yes, for existing players who are returning to the roster, I'll lead off with Sky Moore. The much maligned Sky Moore, especially on Kansas City Chiefs Twitter. It's year 4 now, and there has just been nothing. Not an iota of production, and there hasn't really been any hype about him progressing or getting better at all. It's year 4, and I think his status as a second-round pick has saved him, especially last year. This year, I don't think it's going to be that way. Now, we'll see how many receivers the Chiefs want to keep this year. I believe last year they only kept 6.
Yes.
6, that's right. So it is going to be incredibly tough to make an argument that he makes this team. The only thing being second-round pick status. Anything else, I think if he was a 6th rounder, he'd have been cut last year.
If he was a 6th rounder, he might not have made the team back in 2023.
Yeah, right.
Maybe, actually, he probably would have. But like right now, you kind of got a guaranteed solid 5. You've got Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Royals, and Juju Smith-Schuster. Those 5 are making the team. And then you got guys like Tyquan Thornton and Sky Moore, and one of the guys that I actually had on my list, Nico Remigio. Like, these guys are really going to have to fight to make this roster. And I think we've kind of talked about Sky Moore a lot because he was a second-round draft pick. But Nico Remigio made the team last year as a special teamer, and he was really good in kickoffs, and he got a little special teams play, but he might not make this roster because you drafted Jalen Royals.
Right. Yeah, and you're 100% right. And I'll add in another one, Brashard Smith being drafted. The Chiefs could see him as a return guy, therefore making a spot for Remigio unavailable, taking away his spot. And in that wide receiver room, the end is kind of getting crowded there. You mentioned Smith-Schuster and Jalen Royals kind of taking up those final 2 spots in the room. If they want to go with 6, we're already at a solid 5, like you mentioned.
Well, I think they'll go with 6, but they're only going to be able to take one of the 4 wide receivers on the bubble.
And what I think it's going to come down to is who Dave Toub wants to keep for his special teams unit as well. And if they want to keep Brashard Smith on the roster as a running back, I think that would probably expel Nico Remigio from making the team. Now, Brashard Smith didn't really have too much return experience in college, so it would be another work in progress thing. And Nico Remigio is a guy who I wouldn't say is a notorious kick returner. He's not really a threat yet, but he's sure-handed at the very least. And we know with Sky Moore back in the day, that was never the case. So I think Nico Remigio, there's a chance. It just depends on what Andy Reid and Matt Nagy. It just depends what they decide with the wide receiver room and how many they want to keep. So yeah, there's going to be tough decisions that are going to have to be made.
When a guy that I didn't even mention, like at first, Justin Ross. How many? I mean, is Justin Ross going to make the team? Yeah, probably not. He's going to be a practice squad guy. But like, if I put a gun to your head right now and said Sky Moore or Nico Remigio, who's making this team? I think we both know who it's going to be, but I don't know if that's the right thing.
Yeah. And I 100% agree with you because just looking at the roles on the offense, Sky Moore doesn't have one. Xavier Worthy's the deep guy. Rashee Rice can be the intermediate to short route guy. Same with Hollywood Brown. He can kind of do all of that. Travis Kelce and Noah Gray can handle the short to intermediate. I don't see what Sky Moore does well enough to earn a spot on this team.
No, and last year he had the same production that we did. Like, no
That's right.
catches, no yards, no touchdowns. He was targeted. So, like, he literally was a non-factor
Yeah.
for this Chiefs offense. And I think that when we start talking about these position battles, it's going to get really tight at wide receiver and running back. And there's a couple more guys that I think could also be in danger of getting cut. And we'll talk about those right after this ad break. The Hollywood Casino at Kansas Speedway is the place to be. With over 1,500 slot machines, 35 table games, 4 restaurants, and a new ESPN Bet sportsbook, there are plenty of ways to find your fun. For more chances to win, follow them on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome to the Rice Real Estate Group, Kansas City's premier partner in real estate. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, you'll receive a tailored experience designed just for you. Specializing in residential, commercial, and investment properties, the dedicated team over at the Rice Real Estate Group helps guide you through every transaction, including navigating those short, complex sales. With a commitment to personal one-on-one service, they will ensure that you are supported every step of the way. You can achieve your goals with expertise, care, and a customized approach that truly makes a difference. Ready to make your next move? The Rice Real Estate Group is here to make it happen. For more information, call 816-819-9333. Huge thanks to the sponsors that support this channel all off-season long. Now, Kyle, getting back into the video, last season, one of the guys that the Chiefs Kingdom fell in love with in training camp, outside of Luis Rees-Zammit, was Carson Steel. Carson Steel, the guy that's got a pet alligator, the guy that, is a feel-good story. He kind of struggled last year. He couldn't hold on to the football. He fumbled it. Kind of got put in the doghouse by Andy Reid. This is a guy that in a crowded running back room that brought back Kareem Hunt, that signed Elijah Mitchell, that drafted Brashard Smith. Where does he fit in the grand scheme of things? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Carson Steel, he may be on the outside looking in. And like you mentioned, it does not help that he had struggles holding on to the football. We know in Andy Reid's past, if he can't trust you to take care of the football, you're not likely to see much playing time. You're not likely to have a big role in the offense. So for Carson Steel, maybe you keep him on, maybe you transition him to more of a fullback role. But other than that, he has not really shown an ability to really catch out of the backfield, or just has not been able to showcase it to the public eye yet. Maybe he does in practice, maybe he does that well, but what that running back room is missing is sort of that Jerick McKinnon type, that pass pro guy, and that guy who's really good at catching the ball and running routes. For Mahomes is more of a safety dump off. Carson Steel doesn't do any of that. At least has not shown it to us. And like we both mentioned already, the struggles holding on to the football. I see Carson Steel as a practice squad guy.
Well, here's the thing. Like, even if he transitions to fullback, are the Chiefs going to take 4 running backs and a fullback? So
Right.
5 RBs on the roster? I don't think they're going to do that. And they definitely can't do that if they take 6 or 7 wide receivers. So
Yeah.
it's like there has to be some roster casualties somewhere. And Carson Steel is a guy that, it's a great story. He made the team last year, and, he had a lot of hype out of training camp, but it just didn't really work out. It's almost like, he was a better Justin Ross because he actually got some play, but
Right.
he was kind of what, a UDFA ends up being in the NFL. A good story, but at the end of the day, a guaranteed roster spot for multiple years, I just don't think that's right. And, talking about the running back room, a guy that also could be in danger of getting cut is Elijah Mitchell. This is a guy that's always hurt. And again, how many running backs are the Chiefs going to take?
Yeah, right. And one more quick note on Carson Steel. He's going to be that guy that, 10 years down the road, you'll be talking with your buddies like, you guys remember Carson Steel? And how hyped you were for that run in the preseason.
You remember Derek Gore? You remember Darwin Thompson?
Exactly. Unfortunately, it feels like he's going to be one of those guys. Although, the flowing hair, the blonde hair, the pet alligator, it was a great story, and you're right. But unfortunately, I think he will be beaten out. And Elijah Mitchell, and let me look at his Pro Football Reference page just to see how many games he has not played. He has not played since 2023. 2021, 11 games, 22, 5 games, 2023, 11 games. And that's it. 0 games last year. That's going to be tough. Really tough to because your best ability is your availability, and he can't do that clearly. And coming from the San Francisco 49ers, he kind of was given that top role before McCaffrey got there. And I remember Elijah Mitchell being a guy that everybody wanted to target in a fantasy football free agency. Um, and Kyle Shanahan got rid of him. Couldn't rely on him. Uh, we'll see. We'll see about Elijah Mitchell. I expect him to make the roster just because he has produced in this league before. Um, as has Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, obviously. Um, so I do expect him to win that third spot, but somebody will have to be in reserve for that third spot. Somebody will have to make the practice squad. Somebody will have to be a backup to Elijah Mitchell, and maybe Andy Reid decides that's uh, we have to play it way too safe with Elijah Mitchell. It's not worth the roster spot. That could be an option as well.
Where do you think Mitchell fits in the running back room, or how do you think the running back room kind of shapes up? Because, I mean, there's some Chiefs fans that think Brashard Smith's going to take the starting job, but with Pacheco coming back from injury and you brought back Kareem Hunt, like, how do you think the Chiefs are going to navigate that running back room?
Brashard Smith taking the starter's job, and let me look at him real quick. Just his size alone, I think, uh, will knock him out of contention for that. Uh,
Yeah.
what is he like? 5'9", 170, something like that. He can be a change of pace guy, a gadget guy, a third down guy who can run a route or two. Um, I don't think he's going to have 5'10", 194. Okay, he's actually a little bit bigger than I thought. Um, if he can take over that Jerick McKinnon role that I brought up earlier, that would be huge. What's going to be big for just his development is going to be pass protection. Andy
Yeah.
Reid loves a running back who can do that. Jerick McKinnon just being a guy who also struggled mightily with injuries, but Andy Reid kept him around because he was so good at protecting his quarterback, and just being that safety valve for Patrick Mahomes. If Brashard Smith could prove to do that in training camp and in preseason, I think I could see him probably jumping over Elijah Mitchell, actually.
When the question is, too, like, if you play Brashard Smith a lot on third down because he was a wide receiver in college and so he can clearly catch the football out of the backfield, he also has to be able to block. Like, he has to be good in pass protection or he's not going to be out there on third down. And, Pacheco's had moments of, iffy pass protection, but he's also someone that has earned, enough trust from this coaching staff. But I think that if the Chiefs have, any idea what they want to do at, running back this year, you're probably going to have Pacheco play a lot on, first and second down, and then he's kind of off the field. You got Kareem Hunt, you've got Brashard Smith, and I think Elijah Mitchell even offers something if he does make this team, in that third and fourth down area more than Pacheco.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there too. Um, what's interesting about the running back room is really what Kareem Hunt is going to do this year because last year he was obviously a guy that they needed because Isaiah Pacheco is just struggling with the injuries last year and people are down on Pacheco and that's a point I'll get to next. But Kareem Hunt, how much will he bite into Pacheco's starting role? I think we all can assume that Pacheco is RB1. Kareem Hunt was very valuable last year. Obviously, he's not a home run hitter, not an explosive runner. I think his longest run last year was like 20 something yards.
Yeah, it was brutal.
I think it was like 5 weeks into Kareem Hunt being on the roster. At one point, it was like week 8, and he burst for like a 16-yard run. And I remember the broadcast going, "The longest run by a Chiefs running back this year, 16 yards." I was like, "Oh my God!"
It's bad. It's
Yeah,
getting bad.
it was rough last year. I think the running back room overall will be way better this year because I'm still an Isaiah Pacheco believer. I still think he has the juice. Obviously, his running style it held him out last year. It was just kind of a lost year for Isaiah. I think he will be back into that RB1 role, but the big question about that room is who is going to spell him. And how much are they going to? Are they going to try to manage Isaiah Pacheco, his workload based on last year and the difficulties he had staying healthy? Because they don't really have a workhorse back, right? Kareem Hunt
No,
was
no.
that role last year just because they didn't have anybody. They had nobody. to just take the carries and take the beating that he did. This a long-winded way of saying I think Isaiah Pacheco is your number one guy. 2, 3, and 4. It's just so much of a question mark right now, and I think we really have
Yeah.
to wait until preseason to see what Andy Reid likes, what he wants to do. I think Kareem Hunt will obviously he will make the roster because he is good. He can block. He's a bigger guy, so he will have some value. That RB1, that RB2 are pretty much locked up. Number 3, it's just does he value Elijah Mitchell, who is a semi-veteran, or does he like the explosiveness of Brashard Smith? We'll see.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that the Chiefs' running back room will be something to watch going into training camp and in the preseason because how those guys get reps in practice and in the games, we're going to have a much better idea of how it's going to, shake out in
Yeah.
2025. But to kind of conclude in this video, a couple guys that might be in danger of getting cut before the season starts would be guys like Carson Steel, Nico Remigio, and Sky Moore. And Elijah Mitchell might be a interesting borderline cut candidate, but if he stays healthy, he's probably going to make this team. But Kyle, my final question for you, I think we're going to get out of here. Where can the people find your stuff?
Follow me on the X or Twitter, as I still call it, Kyle Collier _810. Then listen to me on Sports Radio 810, 2 to 6 every day, the program with Seren Petro.
You guys got to listen to the best midday show in the city, and all of Kyle's stuff will be linked in the description of this video. Hit that like button, subscribe for more daily Chiefs content, and until next time, guys, thank you for watching, and as always, go Chiefs.